Hello, hello. Let's see. Tyler, you're on the wrong count. All right. Should have. We'll see here in a second.
Hey, buddy.
Hey. Good.
Oh my God. Hey, we're having a malfunction. Okay, got it.
Yeah, we get Tyler in.
Yeah, where is that guy?
There we go.
Wait, I'm just gonna like dip off to the side for a second here.
Well, you got to find some sort of multicolored sun situation because we're over here looking like a circus. And
Oh, look at you guys. Here I am, like just a little forever goth kid.
That's right.
No,
Camera.
I didn't realize I popped on the old personal page there.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I'm like, I'm cool with it. I just don't know if that's really what he intended to do.
No, that's it's like an ongoing battle I have because I have like 5 different accounts on this phone for different things that I'm like supposed to be managing, I guess. So it's like a constant. Oh shoot, I probably shouldn't do that on that one. That doesn't make any sense.
I kind of like your dog to join at some point.
She's on the. It's just the two of us tonight. She's hammering an ice cube right now.
Aw.
So she's slightly busy. She should be good in about 30 seconds. But we'll see if she makes an appearance tonight. She usually lays
chilling.
Aw. Yeah, she's busy. She likes to be in my presence, but she's pretty shy when it comes to having a camera in front of her face.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. She doesn't like pictures.
We got all the regulars saying what's up. Sean, like part of the wildest thing to me is like Sean's in Singapore and he's like tuning in, like just the whole worldwideness of the whole. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
And it's like morning time too.
I know. Well, you guys talked for quite a while today, didn't you, Melissa?
Last night. Yeah, yeah. We had a great time. We did a little like classic stitch and bitch. We
There
had a
you
nice
go.
little catch up for a couple hours. I sewed up this little dude.
That's awesome.
That was like the coolest thing today. Like, are you going to put out a pattern for that, please?
Maybe it's very heavily quarter inspired. Like this was like one of his things for like a card slip or something. And then the base pattern for it is like an old, so nobody sees my ID, like an old,
Oh, it's a
I think this was like the free weaver pattern or whatever. So I just like added a bunch of shit to it. That's usually what I do for, pattern making, or if I have bought a pattern, I'll like figure out a way to add my own sort of bit of a touch to it.
Right.
What a concept.
Well, thanks.
Right. I mean, the thing that's straight in front of me was a pattern I got for somebody that I modified.
Yeah. Hey. Oh my God, dude! I want to see. Let us see that. That's so beautiful.
This job. So with the red strap and you see the HFA
Fuck.
lightning bolt on it. It's all brass. So the Excella zipper. So it's
Dude.
plenty of room to stuff all your shit in there. But yeah.
I love it.
This will go up. This will go up for auction tomorrow. And I took some good pictures of it today. All that good stuff.
Oh, good. Yeah, remind me and I'll send you photos of one of these guys.
Yeah, which should be here Tuesday. So it may drag a little bit behind. Or, I mean, if we can do, I'll just post the photos and auction that tomorrow too.
Yeah, totally. So there's like, it's a classic trucker. This is a pattern from my friend Ken Diamond, who's been doing this for 20 years professionally. Big back pocket, little cheeky hidden pocket, and then a little zip, and then a little front pocket, and a little grommet for chain.
And the custom snaps.
Yes.
Yes. And the custom snaps. Are those snaps that Shane did, or those snaps that came from someplace else?
They're the ones I had made a long time ago, but the ones that Shane did are on my personal wallet.
You have black ones too, don't you?
Yeah, I got black, silver, brass, and aged brass.
Wow.
I spent a lot of money.
I think we had talked a while ago about the ones that I got made, and it was like a minimum of like 750. So like I could just be giving away snaps for the rest of my life.
Oh, totally.
I don't know. So I can't even what do you got? Like 2,000, 3,000 snaps over there?
Yeah. Got a lot of snaps. People want snap wallets. Fucking get at me.
You want snap belt? You want snaps everywhere? We'll get you snaps.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna make you some ear gauges with snaps in them.
Yeah. Exactly.
All the kid around my house has snaps on it.
Yeah. I have
snaps on zippers. I got so many snaps.
I have like a little apprentice kind of, and he was like joking because we've been just doing like little easy wallets and stuff, and he's like, can we get ones that say sun hands on them? And I was like, frig, that would be cute, but very expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's so Shane that's actually the Shane that we're speaking of is Bo the Maker.
Yeah.
And he's in the chat. So he did up some snaps for you as well, right? So
yeah, let me I'll be right back. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, grab them. I'm curious. I don't know if they're the ones that I'm thinking about right now in my head. But,
I think he did the black ones.
Okay.
If I recall. Let me scroll. Oh shit, I've missed like all kinds of comments. Okay, so Shane's saying Melissa's embossed snaps are way better than the laser ones that he made.
Let's see.
There you go. So Sean's saying he wants some custom snaps too. So get it, Shane, and we'll let the homies connect and do what homies do when they connect.
Yeah, I forget where I ordered mine through, but it was I'm pretty sure they were overseas. But I think Melissa was the one who sent me to them, and there was more options than I even thought was possible for snaps. All different sorts of combos, and I went with black ones or gunmetal, which are cool because they kind of fade and patina to like a copper underneath, which is cool. But I kind of wish that they also just stayed black. But what can you do?
So ignore the fact that I'm definitely wearing pajamas right now.
Nice.
So we're gonna brag about Shane for a second here. So this is a snap. I've been using it for, I don't know when he sent me this. Maybe Shane, you could tell me, like 2 or 3 months. And so far, none of the paint's come off.
See, that's a huge. I was just saying, like my black snaps after like a month probably of like good everyday use, like start to see the copper color underneath.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind because I actually like prefer like a nice copper's totally cool with me. But I also partially wish that they just stayed gunmetal. And but what can you do? I guess if you're a collector and you use a different wallet every day, maybe that's it. But
I think so. Yeah. I have flat black ones and they go brass pretty quick, which like kind of looks cool because then it's brass with black in the inset or whatever.
Yeah,
but
totally.
Yeah, I definitely think that one through.
See if I can grab one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sean's mentioning SICRED, SIQ, RED. I think he mostly does coins and contras and stuff. So, but I mean, I've thought about this quite a lot.
Oh, those look.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it kind of actually looks pretty cool.
And I've thought about making snaps, and it's basically you cut out a disc of metal, stamp whatever stamp whatever in it, and then for a commercially made snap, they're just crimping the edge of that, so it's a flat piece of metal in the post, and then they crimp the edge around the post.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here going, well, I could make my own and put my own stamp on it and just join it to an existing snap, and you could.
Yeah.
But then it would be, you're looking at a freaking $30 snap because of all the work that it takes to do all that crap.
Yeah.
So, because I'm dumb and I don't value my time properly, I probably will do it at some point. But
yeah. It can be cool.
Yeah.
Like Ken does. So Ken Diamond that designed this trucker wallet, he actually has grommets that he had made in silver by a jeweler.
Okay.
So I mean, you could. That's when you go like that, like extra level and charge.
Now we're going like the good art Hollywood kind of act, which is, I mean, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. I mean, and well, the funny thing is, like, so when I first started doing this, 5-6 years ago, that would have been a really expensive proposition. But now, if you can, because an MOQ for that kind of thing is probably even as little as like 20 or 30 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you print it out in wax, you can send it off to somebody, and you can 3D print it in wax, go send it off, and somebody will replicate it and cast it as many times as you want. And that's what Good Art Hollywood does, is will make it in wax, and then they do lost wax cast it times of the but their shit is really expensive too. You can do it, it's just pricey.
Totally.
They're also doing it in like sterling silver, I think.
Yeah. I mean, silver. But the funny thing is, it's no different to cast in silver than it is in copper or brass. It's just the material cost is more. But I was talking to a guy this week about making a cuff, and in a cuff, which is just a strip of metal bent or whatever, my cost is $30 more for Argentium silver than it is for copper. So it's not crazy more expensive to do it in silver. It's just, and Melissa, you know this because of your background in the industry, it's once you use the word silver or gold's a different deal because it's so much more expensive. Yeah. Because silver's, I think, hovering at about like $22 a troy ounce now, but gold is like at $2,000. So, gold is like 100 times more expensive than silver for raw material, but silver's not incredibly expensive metal, but once you use the word silver, then you can jack the price up to 8 times because it's for the same thing in copper or brass. Yeah,
absolutely. And it depends on where you go. I mean, if you go down to Mexico, you can get I got like a couple of beautiful rings for next to nothing that are silver.
Absolutely. So look at that. Shane's got all kinds of folks in the chat.
We should totally have Shane as a guest, I think.
Yeah, next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Shane, you up for next Thursday? Mac and Hound also joined, and I was chatting with him today about possibly coming on too.
Oh, hell yeah.
But next Thursday we can get Shane if he's up for it and his schedule permits. Maybe Mac and Hound the week after that.
The thing we don't tell you about this is that our time's set, so unless you don't change around everything, like, sorry, you're just not in.
Yeah.
Shane's he's an East Coaster too. You guys are all on the East Coast. I'm the only early bird.
I'm right behind you. What time is it for you right now, Melissa? Is it 6?
6, yeah.
At 7 for me.
Oh. Okay, never mind. I'm like when it comes to the States, I'm like geographically like, no, I don't get it.
Well, I know Ryan, and I don't know if he'll chime in or not. Like Ryan, I think's out here for work. At least we talked about it.
Oh, sweet.
Mac and Hound, for you guys who aren't familiar. And I can't imagine we'll do like a joint kind of thing. It seems like a little stressful to have two guys on the same screen, but I think it's later in April anyway. So 2 weeks from now, I think would probably be good. I don't want to speak out of turn, but having Ryan on here would be great.
Yeah, why don't y'all figure out when you could do it together from the same room, and that would be super cool. 3 weeks-ish. All right.
3 weeks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I think it'd be kind of
private. I love it. It'd be fun.
And we're probably gonna just hang out and drink beers anyways, like we did last time. So I don't know if it works out, it works out. But,
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. I mean, this is the first. I think this is the first guest we've like grabbed on air, which is cool.
I think we did it with Ryan the first time.
Oh, we did. Yeah, we did do. We got all these Ryans. Yeah, you're right. We did do it with Ryan that first time. It all stemmed from the NSFW.
Oh yeah, that's right. When he was laying on the ground on a side of leather.
Oh. Yeah, next to the was it Oak Park?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Which by the way, I started. There's two. I ordered 2 belts from them, Chuck, just because you were raving about yours.
Nice.
2 of the Oak Park belts, and they're so goddamn thick. I don't even know what to do with them. Like I haven't touched them since I've cut them out and beveled them, because I'm like, oh man, I got to do like some serious skiving here to like, Then he actually sent me. This is what I haven't done. He sent me 2 of these like copper, whatever you call these kind of belt buckles.
Those quick release jobs.
Quick release, which I've always been interested in, and never tried. But he had two copper ones, and I was like, well, I'm just going to get a full Ryan belt here out of this whole thing.
I love it.
Which is cool, and I'm super excited about it. I got the natural, and I got the black Oak Park. And the black's like beefy. It's probably like 13, 14 ounce, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
And, I'm just like, I have to like sit here and like actually think about how I'm going to tackle these things, because once I like cut out the keepers and did all the holes and whatnot, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get this leather around this belt buckle.
Yeah, no, I skived mine on the buckle side, skived down probably thinner than I should have.
Sure.
But it needs to be like half.
Okay.
At minimum.
Yeah. I was thinking I was going to try and get it down to like, it's probably got to go like at least 6 or 7 ounces.
Yeah. That's definitely the case. And fortunately, I've got one of these, bench top splitter things, kind of pull through splitters that work great for straps.
Oh, nice.
Might have to.
But
I might just ship them to you then. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Like I got like some knives that I don't know how to use.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. I mean,
the one thing I can confidently say, like, we all have that kryptonite, zippers being one, and then like skiving is like, I just try to avoid it at all costs. So this will be like a really good challenge.
So did you end up buying bag leather or not?
I inquired about it, and I don't know if Ryan's on or if he's on here or not, but I inquired about it, and I think I'm in on some other stuff that he has coming in. I want to say, so what, we talked to him like 3 weeks ago, maybe. I want to say like he was expecting a shipment like in May, maybe even June. Like, that's how far out it is.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm super excited. I haven't like, bought it or anything like that. He's going to, do his, pictures and all that great stuff that he does.
Yeah.
And then see where we're at with the whole thing. But I know he's got some like pretty cool inventory coming in that I'm sure he'll do an awesome job of, showing and highlighting for everyone. But that's where I left it with him on that.
Great.
Awesome.
That's like my favorite part. He sent me that sample pack, and then the day I got it, hopped on a phone call and gave me like the history of the tannery and like what each of the different little pieces was. And I was like, fuck, dude, that's so cool. Like, it's just, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, he must have sent over, so when he sent over the straps, he must have sent over, I don't know, 6 or 8 different samples of other stuff that he has. And I was like, and like good size samples, like nothing that you're going to like make a wallet out of, obviously, but like big chunks of leather. And I was like, I could have just taken like a nickel size, but anyways, and then he sent the, he must just like, he does it, he does it full time. So, he's constantly at the post office, but like I got both things in like a matter of 3 days. It was incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not, for anyone who was on that call, it was like, for everything that he touts, like he's actually about that life. Like he's actually about, hopping on, like he explained the different buckles that he had and so on and so forth. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm a pretty compulsive buyer. I would have just bought this sight unseen. Like I didn't need any of this stuff. Like you had me.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm like, just say less. Just take my credit card. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out
No,
later.
I made the joke to him. I was like, yeah, you can just save my card information down because I bought and I buy all of my I try and buy all of like my like bootlaces from him too because sometimes he'll do that. Like I got a couple of different pair of like derbies and other boots or whatever that I have in his like oak bark laces that he does, and I'm just like, yeah, tab me for another $14, hit me for another 14. Like,
Awesome.
need the black ones, need the brown ones, need the light brown ones, need the naturals, and then now with the straps, it's a slippery slope to go down.
That's awesome. I still haven't cut into the Russian calf yet. I don't know what I'm gonna make with it.
Yeah, well, that's what this is right here. I mean, I don't even know if I've shown this, but like, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, if you're looking for like patina and all that great stuff, like it's probably not. Like you can kind of see on the back, like it's a little bit darker, but like you can see also too, like it still has like you can still see kind of that wax or whatever. I don't know if that's the right terminology for it or whatever, but like it's it still smells like it was the first day that I cut it. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
It's like, why it's my wallet. Like I catch myself by smelling it at least once a day. So at worst, that's what you're getting yourself into. But I mean, it's tough, Chuck, just because it is on the thicker side.
Yeah.
So you got to have a project. And the one thing I will say too, and I made this mistake, is that I tried to make like one of my wallet designs is like pretty much stitchless, and it just has like I think 5 stitches total in it, but it's like a lot of like folds, and I mean it does like kind of like the top side does like kind of like crack a little bit if you're like, again, that's like got
You're
some
too
folds
aggressive
in it or
with it.
whatever. Yeah, and so I ended up having to kind of I don't think I had to ditch the entire thing and scrap it, but like I was able to like, grab like a couple like small pockets from it for a card holder or something, but it like just wasn't going to be, it just wasn't going to hold up. Like you could start to see like kind of that grain kind of crack a little bit. How large is the Russian calf? Chuck's obviously. I think it's like what 5 square feet, Chuck?
Well, so this is a quarter, and it's 22 by 33.
Yeah.
So it's about a little less than 2 feet by 3 feet. So it's a little less than 6 square feet. So yeah, probably 5.
Yeah, I got the I did the exact same thing. And like I've cut this wallet out of it, and then that one other one that I'm talking about that I was able to like salvage for a couple. I think like a card holder, some pockets.
Right.
But other than that, like I haven't really touched it. It's just kind of sitting here. So I mean, I'm super curious as to like what you could do with it. Like if you made that little thing that you showed earlier, the little the zipper wallet, like I think that would be killer.
So good.
Oh yeah. Killer. I mean that would be a prime candidate for that.
Yeah.
And then I mean the cool thing is if you skive down the edge, you can make something that's if you thin the edge out, you can make something that looks great and still have the edges not be freaking chunky. Yeah.
I mean, this is gusseted. So like on the back side here, I have 3 layers, if you will. And I don't know if you can. I mean, you can kind of see it, but anyways. So whatever that is, it's definitely like 5.5 ounce leather. So you're talking 15 ounces. But I will say, like it's super stiff and kind of tough to move around. Like you just showing that right there, you can kind of tell a little bit, but like. After some time, like especially in your pocket, if that's what you're going to be using it for, I mean, it's soft as any shell cordovan I've ever had. It's soft as pretty much any veg tan that I've used before. So it kind of ages pretty well and softens up pretty quickly, which is why I was like so interested when he was talking about like getting custom boots made from it, because like at first my thought was, man, those are going to be like kind of like wearing like cinder blocks around. But I bet with some time, they're actually pretty, I bet they break in pretty nicely.
I would bet the Russian calf is probably, because it's more flexible than the straight, like Baker's Veg Tan stuff.
Yeah.
Or the Opart stuff. Where it's, it's hilarious. Multiple times Ryan's been like, yeah, what I do is almost more like a woodworking project than it is a leatherworking project, because that stuff is so rigid. But yeah, I mean, the calf stuff is, or the Russian is a lot more pliable than the standard stuff. Even the bellies that I've gotten, it's a lot more bendy and pliable than the bellies are.
Okay.
So the bellies are like the best deal ever. Like I think he said at some point he was just going to stop ordering them because he had a hard time moving them. But like for small goods like card holders and stuff, if he ever brought the bellies back, so if you ever see Ryan like say he's got bellies, just buy them. Don't ask because they're like $50 and they're
worth your
perfect
time,
weight for card holders and stuff.
Yeah.
Sean, good question, man. I did not when I did that. I did not skive down all of the different folds or whatever. So that's probably something if I were to do it again that I would definitely make a note of doing. So yeah, I mean that was kind of a hey, I'm going to go and make this thing. I don't care what's going on. I'm just going to kind of pull through this one. And then obviously it flopped a little bit, but don't take my word for it. I don't have experience with it. I think it would probably help. I think it would probably help because it is, like I said, I mean, it's a pretty heavy leather.
That's like to the point, Sean, if you want some of it, I still have that great big piece. So shoot me a message and I'll see about getting you some.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I bought the 5-6 square feet or whatever. And I don't know if I'll ever get to using all of it. So
yeah,
would be happy to.
Yeah,
I think other people just need to enjoy it as well, or just put it like just slap down a panel and just sniff it for as long as you possibly can. I don't know if I ever told you. So Ryan actually, like, I think when he sent me the panel, I don't know if he did this for you, Chuck, because I think you ordered yours before me. He actually sent me this is hilarious. He actually sent me an air freshener.
Oh, that's hilarious. No, I didn't get an air freshener.
Yeah.
I love it.
So he was like, and because we were just talking about the smell and whatnot before I actually got it, and then when I got the leather, inside of it was like, you know, a package of it. Like he actually made an air freshener, just like you would see like a pine tree air freshener. It was like kind of the shape of like, you know, what you see that people use for like the, you know, leather hide logo, if you will.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
But he grommeted it and he threw like an elastic band on it, and I threw that baby right in the Volvo. And I won't say it was as pungent as like you know, a little tree, you know, what is it, like black ice or whatever. But I mean, there was like a good little scent, you know, for a while. And I think I still got it in there. Like I just been rolling with it. Like, you know, who's the weird guy driving the Volvo with the leather air freshener?
Right. Does it smell grape Swisher Sweet at all?
Oh. It does not. Man, those are the days.
But yeah, no, that's when I opened it. Like your whole shop smelled, and you know, it's not. I'm not like in a corner of the room. Like I have a whole room here in my basement that's my shop. But the whole room, like for a couple of weeks after I got it, like you walk in here and you're just standing in the middle of the room looking like an idiot, just smelling the air.
Yeah, totally.
And it's, I mean, when you have, you know, a whole shelf of leather behind you, the room somewhat smells like leather all the time anyway, which is kind of cool. But like when that stuff showed up, it was like noticeable even to me. So it would be super cool to like get a black ice air freshener and trace the pattern, and then make an actual air freshener that looked like the tree.
That'd be
like,
amazing.
I'm gonna do it. Like you watch. I'm gonna do it this weekend. I'm gonna make a Baker air freshener.
So his idea was like, I think he sent it to me as like a kind of like a test run, and you know, I again, like, I mean, it was obviously, you know, partially a joke, but like I gave him like legitimate feedback. I was like, listen, like, you know, in my car, like this has got like a decent little scent to it. I don't know if you're onto something here, like, and it's also like, again, for like what the cost of it is, I don't know if it's like, you know, what are you going to sell the air freshener for $12, you know, $15? Like, I don't know. Like,
it's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth it. Every penny.
I was like, I'm spending $4 on a little tree, you know, pine cone scent. You know what, like, Yeah, absolutely. Every time I get in my car, I pull that thing down from the mirror, snip it, and then that's my like. That's the thing that I blow into. Like if I, had a DWI or something like that, I got to give it one sniff, and then my car starts,
Nice.
which is pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know if he's in the market full time for that yet or not. But
Yeah.
anyways,
I mean,
cool little side story.
it is. Well,
Yeah.
so yeah, here's the question, pursuant to our other stuff from this week. How long is it going to take some motherfucker to rip that idea off and do it? Because we talked about it here, and 2 days later, somebody's making leather air fresheners.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll
I mean,
have
I
a
think,
whole nother OnlyHands on our hand.
yeah.
That's right.
The only I will say the
I'm going to stamp OnlyHands on the back of my leather air freshener and
yeah
whatever.
the only thing that I mean, he does have kind of the market cornered. I don't know how much people have the ability to make maybe more than a couple of them. I mean, I mean, you have some, Chuck. I have some. I don't know if there's a ton of people that have some. Like, and I'm not saying that like we're on like some pedestal or anything like that, but I think like he obviously has the ability to mass produce these.
Having some Russian calf, you know what that says about you? That you're a person that had $200.
Yeah, right.
That's
That's
it.
it.
Yeah.
$200 and and you didn't care 1 second about your bank account.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
$200 and an active disregard for a bank account.
Oh, here you go. Shane's got something for you.
Shane, yeah, I'll send you a link later, bud. I think it was like 2 days ago, was it?
Yeah.
Brian.
It was Monday.
Monday. Yeah. Brian sent us a link and some dickhead made OnlyHands stickers.
Wow.
With
Sorry.
with their leather brand underneath it.
Yeah, exactly. So not even just like OnlyHands stickers, but yeah, with their. I never would have put any of our branding on them. I would have just done it.
Right. Well, we're still gonna do them anyway because fuck that.
Oh yeah.
And also, I mean, the best part of this whole thing is, and they also felt the need to hire out a graphic designer to get these made for them. Like,
well, and then blather on about community at the same time, like motherfucker.
Yeah. And like the thing that cracked me up the most too was the fact that like in the little description or whatever, it was talking about like handmade versus mass made or whatever, but then like being like, well, I run the machines with my hands and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, okay, dude, like shut the fuck up. Like seriously. Sorry, I said I was gonna get spicy about this. Because I know like that's the biggest argument, right? Is like everybody's like, well, it's machine made, so it's not handmade, but like there's like the purest aspect of it where like everything's 100% handmade, no clicker press, no whatever, just like using stitching chisels and basic hand tools, no Dremel, yada yada. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, so to make a hand strap on this, I gotta be careful I don't drop this in my beer. But to make the hand strap on this, I did use the bell skiver and did the leather weight to half by running it through the bell skiver. So I mean, it's the slippery slope of what's handmade, what's not handmade.
For sure.
Is it handmade versus machine made versus mass produced? It's where does that slider, if you turn your knob all the way to 11, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, mass produced is 11.
Yeah,
I'm working at the 1. I'm a solid 1. That's I mean, I invested in a Dremel last year, actually, after talking with Brian, who was on last week.
He's in here. He's in tonight.
Yes,
yeah, I think he's.
I saw him and I saw his wife pop on. So if you guys are still here, good to see you. He convinced me to get a Dremel because I was complaining about just how long it took to sand the edges on belts and whatnot. So
sure.
I spent the $80 on a Dremel for that, and I've probably used it, I don't know, a handful of times, I want to say.
But yeah, I have like a $40 Canadian Tire one too. I mean, it's whatever saves you time, like I just think it's funny when people get into that like sort of superior, like, it's handmade, no machines touched it, blah, 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 whatever. And it's like, dude, it's okay if machines touch it. You don't have 40 children sewing your wallets. You're
Yeah.
just using a fucking clicker press, you know, like
Yeah.
For
Yeah. I think I might.
I don't know.
I think I might be the outlier here, Turbo, and I don't.
Are you?
Because
Oh no,
I think I'm that person. Like I think I'm just like,
yeah.
well, but it's out of spite. It's like, oh, like
Yeah.
I don't have the space. Like I die for a clicker press.
Yeah.
But I'm like still here, you know, cutting out cardboard, you know, templates and whatnot. So like it doesn't perturb me per
Yeah.
se. But I see where you're coming from, because I'm just like, I'm actually just the asshole who, like, you know, is still working, like, you know, out of like a horse and buggy when, you know, people are driving around in Ferraris.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So I'm gonna live that life and go to the grave living that life.
I mean,
No,
I'll be the elitist asshole and say I don't want a clicker press unless it's a Dream Factory clicker press,
Ooh, yeah.
the name brand, yeah.
which are beautiful pieces of equipment, by the way. But you know, it's the whole, you know.
I'm a little curious though, like, because I've always had the feeling and experience that, like, with too many options comes the potential for problems. Like, so it's a clicker press, a heat stamper, and something else.
Oh, they're making a dedicated clicker press now.
Oh, okay. That's cool. But yeah, no, I know, like, when I saw the all-in-one, I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of interesting, because it's like around the same price for a clicker press, and then you get a heat press too. But what happens when one of those malfunctions, or is the clicker even all that strong?
Well, that's not. So on one of their most recent posts,
Okay.
they've said that like the heat stamp clicker press only is like 0.8 ton, but the actual clicker press is like 4 tons.
Okay.
So there's a difference. Like,
yeah,
it can work. And you know, Garm brings up a good point. You know, and even like making this. So I used Made on Jupiter.
Yeah.
Sells these like big radius dies. So that's the perfect size to hit the corner of this thing. And so for 2 of them, I used it, and 2 of them I hand cut just for fuck around and see whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the ones that are cut on a metal radius on a die, they're perfect. Like you don't have to dick with them, you don't have to touch them.
Really?
But you know, when I made it up to one that I had hand cut, it was pretty evident that one was hand cut and one was not.
Right.
Because it was janky the hand cut one was kind of janky as shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the one that I, you know, hammered out with the little kind of manual die was perfect.
Oh, well, yeah, that's just consistency too, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's the difference in if you're making one versus you're making a dozen of them, right? Yeah. So, and even like if I want to make a card slip or whatever, or this thing that I still haven't even stitched up yet, you know, just something simple like that. Yeah. If you had, all it takes is 2 dies to have that done.
Totally.
And you could bang them out super fast.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But,
totally.
You know, just cutting it by hand on those is not a big deal. And if I'm only making one, it doesn't pay to have a die. But if I'm doing a market and I've got to have 20 of them, probably it's going to save you money. Mm-hmm. I think Garm brought up a totally different thing where I guess the medication he's on produces some shakes and tremors.
Right, yeah.
So when you're, you know, and that's, I always remember my dad had an essential tremor, right? So his hands kind of always shook a little bit.
Got
it. And I could see if that being kind of an assistive method, if you were a crafter that had, you know, something that could prevent stability with a knife.
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah, a die and a clicker press is a fantastic option if you've got the funds for it.
Mm-hmm.
In the space.
Yeah, in space.
Yeah.
And a table that you're not gonna tear up by putting it on it and
or
all that.
Flip over.
Or flip over, right. I mean, that's...
Don't ask how I know that.
Because I pulled one down on top of me once.
Yeah, I almost killed myself. It was great.
Nothing makes you feel alive like pulling a clicker press onto yourself.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, that's if you recall, like Quarter almost has worn several of them out, like the manual clicker presses, because they do so much work, and they probably should be with a hydraulic, like, you know, big
press. Yeah.
Those are so fun. Oh my God. My bootmaker friend Ken has one. And so every time I go up, I take a side of leather and get to just stand there for like half an hour and click out stacks of stuff. It's terrifying. Like when I first used it, I was so scared of it, but it gets real fun.
Oh yeah.
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 Well, I mean, that's I totally get in the kind of zen moment of just production work, like the full on Laverne and Shirley standing there on the line doing
yeah.
production work. You just kind of zone out and get in the moment of doing whatever you're doing.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been there.
Yeah, I mean that was occasionally I'll go over to DLS and give them a hand, with various odd stuff, and I always really like the whole, there's a whole pallet of leather. Go roll it and put it in the leather hotel. Cool. I'm going to put my AirPods in, and you'll hear from me in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm just going to go do this very systematic, like next piece, next hole, next piece, next hole, next piece, next hole, next piece, next hole for
cool.
as long as you'll let me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I can definitely see that. So do we want to divert a little bit and talk about the marathon and the fundraising stuff? Tyler's going to say no, but we're going to anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no, I don't know. I mean, like obviously we've kind of like worked ourselves into a nice little rhythm, I guess, on like a weekly basis where we bullshit for 45 minutes, and and then you kind of grab your questions if you have any this week, Chuck. If not,
we got one question. That's it. That's all we got this week.
Okay, was it good? You want to let's do that first if it's decent and appropriate.
Right.
It doesn't have to be appropriate.
Right.
There was like I looked at the dog when I said that, and it was just like
It was Devin, and it was completely inappropriate. No, I'm just kidding. It was for Melissa.
Oh, for me.
And it was
my God,
saying it wasn't really a question as it was a demand.
Okay.
It was, Melissa, talk about tooling leather.
Oh, okay.
Exclamation point with a
in that voice.
In that voice. Talk about tooling
So do
leather.
I have to like scream it back, or
Yeah, multiple explanation.
Your best all caps response.
Okay. I'm gonna shut my. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a scream room here. I can't do it. So that's a like very open. I don't know what do we want to know about tooling?
Well, I think so. At one point, you shared with us like, look, this whole like people with 50 stamps is some bullshit. You can do almost everything with like 6.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, right. Like the big collections of tooling stamps.
Right. So if somebody wanted to get started in tooling, so when Tyler wants to make a tooled item with a zipper in it, what stamps do? What stamps?
It's never gonna happen.
That's not your next one. You're not gonna do a zipper and just get into tooling, the like slowest fucking thing you could ever do.
And then Shane's got a question for us. Oh, hey, Quarter's with us.
Oh, look at that guy.
I know that guy.
What's Tyler doing?
I don't know what's going on here. Something just weird happened with my phone.
Oh,
I might have to.
Why is it just
in his mall?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is gonna mess up our YouTube creation. I might have to jump off. I don't know what happened. I don't know why it's just black.
Weird.
We got you. We can see you.
Yeah, you're good now. It's back to normal.
Where's your thumb? Where's your thumb? I'm just kidding.
I can't see anything. The kicker is
what has 2 thumbs and doesn't know how to work a phone? We just saw it.
Okay.
It's also completely black on my end too, so I don't know. But anyways,
weird.
You guys keep carrying on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's got to be a mirror then, so you can kind of see yourself, right?
Yeah. Can you?
No.
Love the delay.
We can still see you. So if your screen has gone dark or whatever. So we got a couple other questions in the chat as well. I'll write those down. Since Shane made fun of me for my fucking notebook last time, I'm gonna write it down anyway.
We lost Tyler.
So yeah, talk about tooling a little bit while we try and get our man Tyler back.
Okay, like anything. Well, Jen just said about my knife. So there's a couple different kinds. Oh, there he is.
Apologize for that.
Oh, it's all good. So you got your like, good thing I'm sitting at my desk. You got your traditional. This is just a little Berry King, whatever. And so the way that it works is this spins, the little top part. And so you hang onto it and you do your carving by, spinning the barrel essentially, which is great. Fucking tons of people do it. It's, the style that's been around the longest. I have shitty, busted little hands, so I have a very hard time using that for very long, just because I get like crazy stabby pain just from, 20 years of using grinders for too long and all kinds of other not working smart or whatever. And then there's this guy. So this is what I use. It's called a yokeless swivel knife. Yeah, it's just a barrel with a bearing in it, and so the actual blade is what turns. So it's like using a pen. Like anybody could just.
Well, they're not
like carve into my hand.
They're not crazy sharp, right?
It's pretty sharp. Yeah, like it's a double.
Well, you keep
This is
touching
how
it.
people do this shit. Yeah, it's like a double-sided. Oh, dude, I have like zero. I have no feeling in my fingers from.
Oh, all right. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so like I can
that.
touch knives. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Good for you.
Yeah, I know.
No,
Great.
you're bleeding. Stop touching that.
Yeah.
I should start robbing banks or something. I don't know. I probably don't even have fingerprints anymore. Yeah, I know. I remember like one day my apprentice being like, oh, hey, can you come check this weld I just did? And I was like, yeah, sure. Or he didn't tell me he had just done it. And so I like grabbed the piece and lost all 4 of these fingertips for a little while.
Oh, well, South Valley brought up an interesting one. Have you ever tried tooling shell cordovan? So part of shell cordovan is what people think of as the surface of shell cordovan is really the reverse.
Yeah.
So if you were to tool it, I would think you would have to tool the reverse versus the finish.
Totally.
Can we talk about? Corder wants to talk about calluses. That gets into our OnlyHands.
I just did. Catch up.
That's part of our paid OnlyHands subscription. You can ask.
It's a Patreon. That's a Patreon account.
That's right. That's not Patreon. That's full on like OnlyHands.
Yeah, exactly. Plus OnlyHands Plus.
Right. It's on OnlyHands. You only get to see that side of the hands. You have to pay premium to see that side of the hands.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Eric said you can't feel shit from the top knuckle up.
Wow.
It's getting so inappropriate.
What are we talking about here, Eric?
I don't know. But yeah, I have actually tried tooling shell cordovan. I haven't really tried the flesh side though. That's actually a really good point. But just because it's so oily, it's just like it's packed full of oil and it's really, really dense. You can't do shit. Like it won't do anything.
Did it just kind of spring back on you?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of soft. Like it'd be like soft and it wouldn't hold like the form that you're trying to get, Turbo.
Exactly. And then you cut it and you just kind of cut right through. Like yeah, it's not great. So here's a piece I just did. Like actual tooling leather is, for people that don't know, it's like you're using raw leather. There's no oil, there's no, you have to case it. So it means you like wet it down or whatever before you start carving and tooling. But yeah, you just don't really, the oils and stuff would just get in the way. It would cause a lot of spring back. Like you oil it afterwards, but not beforehand.
I mean, makes sense. And that's, so like I know Wickett and Craig makes skirting leather. It's kind of the same deal. It's really dry.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough to deal with in a lot of other different ways because it's almost dusty. It's so lacking in oils and waxes. Yeah,
and so like skirting leather is really great for saddle making and stuff where you're doing more, and like there's also like the classification of like tooling versus stamping, because really you're at that point you're stamping a pattern into something. And this is why like I kind of fucking hate labels, because somebody's always going to have something like negative to say about the other thing, like
the purest conversation. Yep. 100%.
Exactly. like I do get it. If you are just using a straight up stamp, a single stamp, and you're just stamping it in and you're like, look, I tooled this keychain. It's like, well, you stamped a keychain and it's cool and everything, but you know, it's not so much.
It's not the same as, you know, because I've seen recently, you know, like a diamond quilted pattern, right?
Yeah.
But you're using a stamp to make that diamond quilted pattern. You are not actually cutting and tooling each individual like little pocket in the leather to look like that little, you know, quilted piece.
Does that perturb you, Turbo? Because this goes back to the conversation that we were just talking about as far as like using machines and whatnot. And
Yeah.
I feel like we could relate here because as a purist, I'm like, well, I use everything's cut by hand. Everything, like there's no sort of motors involved or anything like that.
Right.
There's no press. Is that the same thing? Is that something that, like, you know, we can level on? Is that different? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's tough.
And go off.
And go
off.
Feel free to be a bitch about it. It's like, it's hard to say, like, without sounding like a total asshole. Like, to me, it is kind of, it's stamping, but it depends though, because I have seen some, you know, like you said, quilted looking things, or like basket weave is apparently super fucking hard, because if you know, twist your stamp a certain way, it's going to look terrible, you know, same as if you fuck something up while you're tooling or whatever. So yeah, I think there's also just like at this point different styles too, right? Like I don't do the classic Western filigree floral stuff or whatever. I do like more sort of illustrative. So people might look at my work and be like, what the fuck's this chick doing? You know, like this isn't proper leather tooling, you know? So it's kind of hard to say.
Can I throw a wrench into it? Because one thing that I've seen kind of pop up, I guess, probably in like the last year is like 3D printing has like kind of become a thing too. And I don't know enough about it, but
yeah,
I think you have the ability on the machines that these people are using, which I don't even know the names of them, to kind of give that like stamped effect or whatever it is. Like, yeah, that's a stamp, obviously, Chuck, but like you have the ability to like take a design, or let's just say that basket weave pattern, and use it as like a 3D printed thing over a sheet of leather or something like that, or a repetitive pattern.
Yeah, I think you can basically create a much larger stamp, right? So where before you have a steel stamp that's kind of a point, you know, you do something with 3D printing and you could create like a 2x3, you know, pattern, right?
Right. Throw it across the table.
Eric's asking the question, isn't classic tooling based around circles? Like everything's based on circles.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the basic, like the classic sort of way you would draw your patterns and stuff. And there's some, like, I can't remember the name right now, but there's one Japanese tooler that I follow, and that's what he does. He actually draws circles on the leather, and then he draws in pencil and then eventually carves it or whatever. And I think that's fucking
wild.
Amazing.
Yeah,
yes, beautiful work.
He's like a tattoo artist at that point.
Yeah, totally.
Which
just freehand.
Which I just realized before we maybe answer this next question that Garm just asked is, I mean, since all of us have tattoos, maybe we should have a like a tattoo discussion at some point.
Yeah, well, I mean, so it's the.
I don't want to digress.
My buddy that's a tattoo artist, like I've been begging him to get into leather tooling, because I think there's a lot of like the Venn diagram of tattooers and, you know, people that do leather tooling is so close. And at one point, like, went down the rabbit hole, and there are people who are actually tattooing leather.
I've seen that. I
have to.
I wanted to try it, but I can't live in a house with a tattoo gun.
Nah.
I just won't have any fair skin left. I have some like, yeah, it's just, yeah, it's not something I can do, but I have seen it. It's fucking cool.
Maybe it would be cool, and I don't know the relationships that we have, but it might be cool to have, you know, a guest down the road. I mean, we're booked out like 3 weeks now, which is kind of crazy to think about. We're like a pretty sought after thing on Thursday nights, but maybe we could have someone come in and
No, we're not. People are just fucking bored and they don't have anything else better to do.
I'm saying that
Practice Friday.
People are booked solid from 7 to 9 o'clock, at least Mountain Time for the next month.
Right.
Yeah.
Very much like people watch car wreck videos and whatnot on the internet. So Eric, Eric was asking about?
Go way back. I've missed like all of these.
Well, I think Sean brings up a good point here in a second, which is kind of where I was going with this whole thing when it comes to 3D printing capabilities, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I have actually seen that. There's a little bit different, but there's somebody out of Richmond, Virginia, Blackbird RVA, that's doing screen printing on leather.
Right.
So they're basically using, Angelus paint or whatever to screen print on leather, which is really cool because you can kind of get that Louis Vuitton pattern, but it's their own design, but it's on leather.
Right.
But just as easy, like Devin shared something earlier today with somebody's, you're basically lasering on plywood and then running it through like a rolling mill, and it's kind of embossing as it goes through, which I think there's a bunch of different roads to the top of the mountain, but it still goes back to Sean's point of, and it's no different than having a stamp made anywhere, right? Which that's a whole separate thing, but like using Augustine to have a magnesium stamp made that we all used for our maker's marks or whatever.
Right.
But it should be just as easy to make a bigger one. But like Melissa, for the stuff that you do, sending your artwork off to somebody to make a stamp so that you can then emboss, a skull and some mushrooms is kind of bullshit, because then that's where you're taking it from someone has created it by hand versus you're mass producing it, right? I mean, it's not bullshit. It's just what you want out of what you make, right?
Well, I want to know if you fell down, because that was a hurricane of a camera.
Yeah, my tripod's a piece of shit, and I just like put something on the table and it flipped over. So here, Chuck, to your example, I actually have I don't know if I can show that one, but I do have a friend who makes acrylic stamps of my artwork, but I sell these items as embossed items, and they cost the fucking same amount of money as something that wouldn't be tooled, because this takes me 15 seconds to stamp onto something. And that's where the conversation about the classification of stuff goes, because that's where it does bother me when somebody's obviously used something like this and they call it tooled, and it's no, it's fucking not. It's technically debossed because it's going in, but you can call it embossed, whatever. But yeah.
Right. Well, so Eric mentions, hey, people that tried to make tattooed veg tan a thing 10 years ago at Rex the Mags. I would argue that, Eric, because we're all old and we got tattoos and we were younger, that's back when people actually, made tattoo needles in the shop and everything else.
I remember that.
But now with rotary machines and, cartridges, they're probably not too worried about it wrecking the cartridge, because you're just going to throw it out and, you're not sterilizing your mag pack and putting it back in the machine again.
Right.
You're just picking up a new cartridge and going with it. But, veg tan leather is definitely different than human skin. So I could see it being much more difficult, or you could get through a whole tattoo session on a human with, one needle. But when you're on veg tan leather, I could see the needles getting dull after some period of time.
Oh, because it's so dry. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
sorry.
the same as why we have to sharpen our knives, why we have to, sharpen punches, all that other stuff, because leather will dull it.
Oh, yeah. I strop my knife a ton when I'm tooling stuff, depending on the size of it. Or, I'll end up stropping it a few times for a really big piece.
Yeah, of course, it also didn't look good.
Yeah, I feel like it would smear a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, the wipe process. So for those that don't have tattoos, you're dipping it in ink, and then you're drawing the tattoo, and then you wipe the skin to get the excess ink off the skin so you can see what you actually did. And that whole like wipe process to me, for anybody who has ever worked on leather, it's the process, like for me, because I don't tool leather and I don't do that stuff, the whole part about like, oh, you're going to put dye on the leather and then you're going to wipe it. That's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
The second you wipe it, it's going to get all in the leather.
Yeah.
Stuff's ruined. Yeah, it's ruined.
It's like the whole thing's open pores.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would.
Unless you're like antiquing it prior to tattooing it, and maybe that would work. I don't know.
Maybe.
If anybody wants to rip an idea off of this discussion, rip off the idea of tattooing leather and let us know how it works out. Don't sell that shit. Anyway, so there was a couple other questions that came up as we were talking through all this stuff. So Bo had one that I want to get back to about criticism, but I didn't capture who submitted it. But Melissa, what was the light bulb moment that you got into tooling leather?
Oh, I don't know. I just literally woke up one morning and was like, I just feel like tooling leather, and I did. Like,
Wow.
I've got a fucking weird brain, you guys. We all know this. I can show you. I actually have this little weird book of like all the
Tattoo book, yeah. Flash book.
basically, yeah. So that's like everything I've done in the last 2 years. But so my first one was this little snaky guy, and I didn't really know how to tool. I didn't watch a video. I had dated somebody that did leather tooling, like I think like 3 or 4 years previous to that. And he like showed me like the basic idea of like cutting it out with a swivel knife and then stamping around it or whatever. But I'm also one of those people that like, I just figure it out while I do it. So, I mean, it's not.
Well, that's all of us to some extent, right?
Oh, totally.
It's like,
Yeah.
fuck it, I'm gonna try it and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. I mean, that's the maybe it doesn't part is the part that social media never shows. So it's, I can't tell you how much crap I have around here that's just been abandoned because it didn't work. Like, oh, I'm gonna try this and it doesn't work, so whatever.
Yeah. Totally. I don't really practice tooling though. Like the first thing I ever tooled was that snake. And then like I posted it or whatever, and a bunch of friends like freaked out about it, and I started getting like little commissions and stuff, but I've never actually like sat down and just like practiced swivel cuts or practiced stamping as like I suggest people do, but I also have like a background in sculpture and metalwork and stuff like that. So like a lot of things that I've done in the past and wax carving for like long wax casting and stuff, it all kind of comes together.
Kind of came together to give you the tool set that it's just, and that's you know, still why I think that people that are tattoo artists, they kind of have an ability to understand the tooling, me not being a tooler, but being able to like shade and create depth, and I want it to be lower here and higher here, and this is, you know, shaded around and put dots here and all the other stuff. They'd probably be really good at it. It probably just doesn't pay like tattooing does. So why fuck with it unless you're just looking to diversify? Because that's, you know, the guy that I got my last piece from, a guy named Craig Brock, he's awesome. He's based here in Atlanta. And we talked about it, and he's like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to dork around with, you know, diversifying and, you know, doing something other than tattooing on your days off and whatever else that you can still monetize or whatever else. You know, obviously those people have the artistic talent, absolutely, to create the images and everything else. It's just translating that from, you know, a 2D iPad drawing to something that's 3-dimensional on a piece of leather that depends on how hard you hit this stamp to get, you know, your depth and whatever that takes some time to get up to speed on. I don't know.
Oh, totally.
It's me kind of running off at the mouth.
Oh, that's fine. No, well, you kind of like learn it as you go too. Like I had a comment on like one of my YouTube videos at one point, and one dude was like, why do you double tap your stamps? And I was like, well, you're pushing the leather down. So if you go lightly, what it does is it like sets your tool, and then you go to the force that you want it to go. And then that way you're not risking, like if you hit that first hit, you're fucked because it's deep into the leather and you're not pushing that back out. But if you do like a light tap, make sure that's where you know, or whatever. But yeah, everybody does it differently. And it's a matter of
Metal stamping is the same way.
Oh yeah.
So when I make my maker's mark in the back of a piece of metal, I usually do it one and done. Like put it on there where I want it to and just whack it, and it is what it is. But some jewelers will kind of do a 360 like tap 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 to get it, and I'm like, that's some bullshit. I don't want to do it that way. And it still works. I don't know. Everybody's got to figure it out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's the question: have you ever? I'm guessing the answer is no, but have you ever put any sort of leather stamp in a tattoo machine to more automate the tapping?
I haven't, but actually, it's funny that you asked that because yesterday I was thinking about this YouTube video I saw. I think a couple years ago, like when I started out and I went down the whole like neurodivergent rabbit hole of spending 4 days just watching YouTube videos. There was a dude that took an engraving machine, like an engraver, and then just like bore out the chuck or whatever and use that to bevel stuff. But I just like, I don't know. I feel like it would be too, shaky, right? Like, yeah, I don't know.
I can see that.
It'd be worth giving it a shot. Like the engraving machine would be too. Like I've used those on metal stuff, and like you're not writing a letter. Like you can't do handwriting or anything like that in it, right?
Well, in theory, that engraving machine that I have over there will, because it's got a motor on it and it's got graver tips, and it will, engrave leather, like letters on leather. But it's also the point of it would have to be like some pretty thick, like 10 ounce to get it to sit in the work holder and to sit there nice and flat to take that engraving.
Right.
So but yeah, the point of using it by hand, that would get kind of a little dicey, I think. I don't know.
I think it'd be interesting to try though. Yeah, because there is also like technically you could tool leather with like a Cricut machine or something too. Like you could do all the preliminary cuts. I'm not a huge fan of that, but that's also because I do it.
They do advertise that you can deboss with one of those Cricut machines.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, it's the same thing with using a laser or something too, right? Like, so at that point, it's not. I don't feel like you can really call it tooling. Like it's its own sort of part on the spectrum. Like
that's like a level 6. On the 1 to 11, that's like a 6. Yeah,
exactly.
Same people that use Cricuts to cut out their designs.
Yeah, I mean that's the interesting part. I mean it's not a lot different than using dies or having it cut out at the leather supply or whatever else, right? And I looked at that for a brief period of time, but it's just the consumables on a Cricut machine to me aren't really worth it. Because it's replacing the knife and dicking around with it, and it's got to be a certain weight leather, and you've got it. I mean, just all that mess. I'm
gonna level with you guys. I bought a fucking Cricut during COVID.
Did you?
And I sold it. I sold it. I spent like over $1,000 on all the fucking bullshit, and I like got the program, and I made a bunch of like, vinyl cut stickers, and that was fucking it. And I'm like, I don't need this machine to hang out and do stickers, so fuck, I got rid of it.
Yeah.
That's my kid at my 16-year-old has one, and
cool.
I can't tell you the last time she's used it.
Mine sat on a shelf forever.
It was, I think for her it was fun and interesting for a couple of months. But it was, when she was looking at it, like everything in that whole Cricut ecosystem costs money. So it's you're in the app, and if it's this font that you want, it costs money. Like there's a very basic kind of tool set that comes with it for free, but everything else they're getting you for, this font is $5. This font is, so at one point I think she cut out like a dissonance out of like Gothic font or whatever, and they'll let you have it like one for free or whatever. Devin saying Cricut's marketed toward based housewives, kind of rude, but way to describe it. When you use it, you realize how limited it is and that there's better options.
Yeah, a little.
I think it's,
but
I mean, it's a machine that I think can be pretty powerful, but it's not, budget friendly by any stretch. So it's expensive. All the equipments are expensive. Can we make a petition for Cricket to bring GoCo back? I don't know
Yes, because I fucking want to print GoCo so bad.
you got to explain to me what that is. I don't know what.
What does that mean?
A print GoCo, it's like, I don't know, Eric can maybe describe it a bit better. The last time I used one was high school, but it's kind of like almost like a home screen printing machine. Like you load in the film and your image in just like black and white, and essentially like burns it onto the film, and then you use it like a screen print. But it's like, so you do postcards. Like there's people that still use it. I think Aaron Draplin, that invented Field Notes. He still uses it for stuff, or like he's talked about like I'm a huge fan of his, so I've watched a lot of his YouTube, or like he has some stuff on Skillshare or whatever, and he talked about print GoCo a lot. But yeah, what Eric just said, it's a Japanese toy screen printer.
Oh, easy bake oven for screen printing. Yeah, that makes sense.
But they're so friggin' cool. I think you can find like bits and pieces on eBay and stuff, but it's you have one.
Of course you do.
Lucky.
Of course you do. Like Eric's got 18 lunchboxes and shit that he hasn't shared that he has, I'm sure. All the good shit Eric keeps for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a better way of saying it, for sure.
Scrapbooking, I think, is probably the major use case for a Cricut.
Oh, totally. But there are people that I follow that are sticker makers. And so they make like laminate, like there's some people on Etsy and stuff that have like very successful careers making stickers on Cricuts. Like they definitely have some decent features, and I think like some good uses, but I just think for leathercraft, it's not. I tried cutting a sleeve for like a coffee mug on it, and it was just fucking stupid. It took like forever, and I ended up finishing the cut with a knife.
Yeah. I think it's Eric brought up a good point. I think Cricut is that, like, if you're not ready to go and have an actual vinyl giant monster sticker for the back of your Brodozer made, and you just want one for the corner, Cricut's your jam.
Oh yeah.
But if you want the big Browning buckhead for the back of your fucking truck, you have to go to a vinyl place to have that done. But if you want a little one for your whatever with the I'm just gonna stop because I'll get it. Living in the South and all the other bullshit.
What do we got here?
Look at that. Is that a Dad Hands vinyl notebook? Vinyl sticker on your notebook?
That's a sticker. That was like, I probably paid $400 for that sticker, and what I did use my fucking Cricut.
Exactly.
The most expensive sticker I've ever bought.
What if I want a car shaped like a monster can? Don't forget the Cricut using wedding stationery users. Yeah,
I actually made go-karts in the shape of Red Bull cans for a Red Bull race when I was in my 20s.
Because every roller derby skater has a Cricut to put their derby names on everything. I wish I knew more. I know one person that does roller derby. That's it. I feel like I'm not diverse enough in my friends group that I don't have more than one roller derby person.
Well, we got Jen, Midrifters. She does roller derby.
Well, now I know two then. All right.
And she's a badass.
Two rolly derby.
Rolly derbies.
Rolly derbies.
That's like when little kids do it with little four-wheel skates.
Good stuff.
Sorry.
What was our? So we got another couple questions in the chat, and we got into it a little bit before. At what point does copying become stealing? That's a good one.
That is a good one.
At what point does I think, and I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I use templates and patterns. Like, to the point, I just got a commission on a bag that's based on a pattern that's not mine. So when I make that bag
Mhm.
I will be very clear in that this is not my design. Like, yes,
Right.
I got commissioned to build this. I worked with him on the materials, all that other good stuff, but it's not my design.
Right.
I think when copying becomes stealing, I mean, it's different, right? So you take something like that, you make something off a pattern. If you pass it off as your own, that's, borderline.
Mhm.
If you take something that you have seen, like our idea last week, right? So if you take something that you have seen and you replicate it yourself, is that stealing or is that copying?
Right.
Is it both? Are you replicating it for your own personal use? Are you replicating it for commercial use? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's almost like a personal decision, right? But you also, at least in what we do, so if I took something that I saw you just make, Melissa, and I made my own version of it that looks really freaking similar to it.
Mhm.
That's stealing to me.
Right.
It's not like something that I saw at Old Navy, and does it matter where the design came from? Like,
Mhm.
there's a pretty prominent maker that lifted. Yeah, Eric's saying when you don't disclose the IP isn't yours is a good place to
Yeah.
start.
Like
Yeah, I mean
even earlier, like I straight up, this is Eric's closure, or whatever, wherever he got it from. But like, I even said in my little caption today, I was like, this was heavily inspired by Eric, even though he hasn't made this exact wallet before. A lot of the elements were stuff that I've seen him do or we've talked about or whatever. I think there's a big difference between taking inspiration and just like straight out stealing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well,
Like,
it's. I think first is whether you're willing to disclose whether the original design came from somebody else should be your number one indicator. If you're not willing to do that, you're probably stealing.
yeah.
If you have a doubt, reach out to the person that you were inspired by
Mm-hmm.
and say, so like if I saw something that Eric made and I went, wow, that's really cool. I want to make my version of that. And you make it and reach out to Eric and say, hey, I made this thing based on what you said.
Right.
Is that cool? And if that person says, yeah, I'm not cool with something that close to my design, that's different.
Which I'll look for it right now, but Eric literally just did that where he is Tyler okay?
Gotta go to the bathroom.
He's taking a shit. He'll be back in a minute.
Yeah. But yeah, like I'd shown him this little, I'll see if I can find it. Once Tyler comes back, I'll do a run around the studio. But I made like this old, just like a passport holder or whatever. And I showed him, he's like, holy shit, that's amazing. Can I use that idea and kind of run with it or whatever? And I mean, his is different from mine in enough that like, I wouldn't have felt like it was, stealing, but it's nice to like have that inspiration cited. You know what I mean?
Well,
even, especially
it's also, you can also start at the point where, I'll praise Eric for a minute. I mean, when he puts his designs out there, when you buy one of his patterns, you also buy the Adobe Illustrator, and he actively encourages, take it, modify it, do whatever the fuck you want with it. It's yours now.
Yeah. So, oh my God.
Which I've done plenty of times. Like, start with something that's Eric's and modify it and make it different so that it's yours.
Yeah. So this was the one that I showed him, which is like, I made this like 8 years ago, and it's a piece of shit. But yeah, like just has like the little one side and then a middle, and then it like folds over.
Right. Like this was one, and I don't know that I've shown this at all to anybody yet because I actually want to do something with it. And it's to the point of like, if you put it out there, some motherfucker's going to copy it and run off with it. But this is a big field notes case. It's the big field notes notebook, and there are no patterns for big field notes notebooks out there.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
So I took Eric's pattern for a smaller field notes notebook and scaled it up and changed it a bit.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the point, and I specifically did that with his stuff because he's cool with it.
Right.
He encourages people to take his stuff and modify it and do something different with it, right?
Absolutely.
But if I bought somebody else's pattern and all I did was, maybe change the pocket layout, that's a little dicey.
Mhm.
Who has the patterns y'all are talking about? What patterns were we talking about? I'm not sure.
Oh, probably Eric.
Oh,
Quarter.
Yeah, Eric
Yeah.
from Quarter. I call him by his Christian name. Very bad out there,
Action.
right? Um, I'm no longer welcome at the farm.
I'll sneak you in. You can get my suitcase.
There you go.
Whenever quarter stock happens.
Quarter stock. That we've now named it, Eric. It has to happen. It's got a name on it. So, quarteroo.
Yeah. Quarter.
Quarteroo.
Yes.
Bring your tent and don't plan on showering for 3 days. But anyway,
You just jump in the ocean, right?
yeah, exactly. Just go swimming in the. Thank you for the gift. Yeah, I did send Eric a couple of fuck tokens.
Nice.
For being someone in the community that actually gives a fuck. So I wanted to be sure he didn't run out, so I gave him one.
Aw.
So yeah, I mean I think Eric's point was like, hey, if you're not willing to say where you got the design from, that's probably your number one indication that you're probably stealing something. If you have any doubt, reach out to the person that you're inspired by.
Yeah.
And ask them. And if they go, that's a little bit too close, I prefer you didn't. But one came up earlier this week, and I won't mention the maker because I don't want to create any attention that shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody reached out and said, hey, way back when, years ago, I was working on a design, this other person was working on a design, simultaneously we came up with something similar, but I stopped because they hit first with it, and I thought it was too similar, so I didn't, but they're no longer in business. They quit. They stopped making shit. Their shop shut down.
Okay.
What should the rule be about, are people going to think of me negatively if it gets traced back to that original design?
Right.
Somebody else went first, and they sent me a picture of something that they had made like 5 years ago, and it was clearly old. And I was like, if you've got kind of the prior work to show that you built that design in parallel with somebody else that was launching it, whether they're out of business or not, it's an interesting point in the argument. But for me, it's if you have the prior work to show that you guys were doing things at a similar timeline and you can prove that, then, go forward, go forth. Like, launch your design, go ham with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the interesting, and I think, Tyler, at one point you made the point of like, look, there's only so many fucking ways you can make a wallet now. Like, there's only so many different card holder configurations you can make, and maybe you can do something a little bit different than the pockets, but the same basic, these are all over the place, and maybe it's got a neat little curve on it, maybe it's straight across, maybe it's a V, maybe it's a more angular approach, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think we live in a world where at this point, when it comes to, like you just kind of showcased there, I guess, Chuck, there's only so many ways to do that, right?
Right.
And they've probably 99% of the time have been done before. So in that situation, it's like you're kind of splitting hairs, I guess. And I think that's the troubling point for I guess new makers. And this is what we spent a lot of time on speaking about last week was as new makers, how do you approach a subject, because that's like a very tough and intimidating thing to like think about, right? Like 6 years ago, when maybe there wasn't as many YouTube videos out there, there wasn't as many people doing what we're doing. You had like a little bit more leeway, right? Where maybe you weren't thinking about that so much.
Right.
But I can only imagine, starting what we've been doing now, in 2023, the amount of like anxiety I would have about making something would be through the roof, right? Because I personally would be like, oh man, I've seen this design, I'm on Instagram, I've seen this design done, by 30 different makers, right? Like a simple
Mm-hmm.
bifold with, two interior pockets like that or whatever. Like I've seen that done. What do I do? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel really good about making this wallet, and and the catch is like, as a maker, you're like, like I just finished this wallet, and I love this wallet. Like this is the best wallet I've ever made. But in the back of your mind, you're like, I think I've seen this like 20 times on my Instagram feed in the last like 2 weeks, right? So like, how do I approach that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I think the three of us are coming at it from a standpoint, where we've all been doing it for a little while, I guess.
Yeah.
But I constantly think back to like if I had started yesterday and made the wallet that you just made, Chuck, which is like a pretty common wallet. Like I don't think anyone's like going to
Right.
argue that.
Yeah.
How do I showcase that while also acknowledging the person or company or whatever who I guess came up with that design. And I think that like that's what Instagram is, and that's the life that we live, and that's the reason why our youths are the way that they are, I guess. Like we're constantly striving to succeed in a world that we just want acceptance, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I could go down the rabbit hole of it, but I won't. But that's where my head goes, I guess, with the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think, let me go back to what Eric said a little bit ago, where I mean, you're almost to the point where it becomes more of a marketing and lifestyle, thing than it does
Mm-hmm.
the actual. And we see that all the time. I mean, that was in my former LCC chat group today. It was one of the people who's a crafter in Hungary said, like, look, I made a very similar design to what this person did, and they're selling a ton of them, and I never sold one. And the
Right.
comment was, it's all marketing. It's marketing and lifestyle. So, and that's where I think presenting, I don't know, as long as it's authentic, because you can smell it when it's not. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're building your brand to be just as much lifestyle as it is substance and things, that's where I think showing you as an individual can kind of help with that.
Sure.
So even if you're making the same, if all three of us made the same thing off the same pattern,
It'd be completely different.
We have different markets that pay attention to what we're doing. So
Well, I think that's where like, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, well, I think that's where like branding and stuff comes in too, right? Like, this is like, ignore the tooling, but like, it's fucking envelope wallet. I didn't invent this. It's a make supply pattern or whatever, you know what I mean? But like, normally when I do them, I have a branded logo, so it's mine. Like, people look at it and be like, okay, that's Dead Ends or whatever. But I think it also comes down to the integrity of like, when you are inspired by somebody or you use somebody else's pattern, like just mentioning it, like I don't think there's any shame in that at all. You know what I mean? Like,
no, not at all.
Yeah.
As long as that person that made the pattern is cool with commercialization of that pattern.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if the pattern is released and said, cool, do whatever you want with it, sell 1 billion of it if you can.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like, it's not that great whenever somebody says, I prefer you didn't sell this, and you sell it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make that pattern, you show it on Instagram, and then you give it away, that's potentially okay. If you're not making any money off of it, and you make it for even somebody who's a regular customer of yours, and you go, oh, well, this is so-and-so's pattern. They said not for commercial use, but I gave it away.
I think that's pretty sketchy. Like, because I know, yeah, I think it's kind of sketchy. Well, I don't know. Personally, I think it's sketchy. Like, I know I've heard of people kind of co-opting a pattern and having people that designed it, and it was like one of their signature items being like, hey, could you not do that? And then they turned around and distributed the pattern for free, and then eventually started charging money for it. is
Yeah.
fucking rude.
Well, and
That's
Yeah.
if anybody's interested in that, Eric mentioned it further up in the comments. So
yeah.
you can scroll up, if Melissa mentioned it in code, but if you scroll up through the comments, you'll find out exactly who that was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, for whatever reason, I don't know what's going on my Instagram tonight, but like the last comment I got was probably, I don't know, maybe an hour ago. So I can't see that, but I think I know exactly what you guys are talking about. And I've run into a situation where I've had a conversation with a maker who basically took someone else's design and was like, I'm going to do a free pattern for this. And then upon, being approached, wasn't totally in tune with kind of like what they were trying to do, right? So it was like, hey, this is someone else's design. You're trying to now take that design and sell it as a free pattern.
Right.
Somewhat sketchy. So I don't know if that's what is actually going on, because I can't see the messages ever, but I would say that's something that I'd be weary of. And the other thing too is I think that to what you just mentioned, Melissa, as far as like your envelope design, is that it's been done countless times, right? Like it's not something that is like some sort of secret or something like that. But I think the way to approach it, or the way that at least I think the three of us look at it, is like, as long as you have the decency to acknowledge that this is something that's might have already been done before or whatever. That's great. I mean, there's plenty of makers out there that I can wholeheartedly say have put up like a good amount of fuss on like a 3-card, wallet, horizontal wallet, and it like they get really upset when it comes to competition. And I think that's the one thing that we have to keep in mind is, the three of us are obviously selling to completely different people, and I think that's worth mentioning. But the people that truly get bent out of shape about this are the people that are a little bit weary about other makers infringing on their customer base. And that's just something that needs to be said. And maybe it's an unspoken thing, but like, if we're just being honest with each other, the people that are going to give you a hard time are the people that are like worried about losing, a potential customer to someone else. And that's where I have like a hard time thinking like, well, yeah, we make the same wallet. They both hold 6 cards. They're both horizontal. I'm doing this and you're doing that. I don't need you to give me a hard time about this, because I'm not marketing to your people or whatever it is. But like, that's a conversation for another day. But I think there's a group of people that think they have something that's so highly sought after that they don't want to see other competition kind of come into the market. And as someone who is like, as Chuck knows, and Melissa, you've gotten to know, is like, as someone who's like comes from like an athletic background, that's so anti my life. Like that's so anti everything that I've ever like ingrained in my own head. Competition's good. Deal with it. Adapt, overcome, and become better. Stop bitching about it and stop worrying about it. If your product's that much better, then make your product that much better, and the people are going to keep coming back to you. The last thing you should do is complain and whine and so on and so forth because someone's making a wallet that looks somewhat similar to what you're making. I just can't get in that mindset. And maybe I'm wrong for thinking that, but make the shit that you want to make and market to the people that you want to market, and those people are going to come back as long as you're doing them, their service and doing it the right way. So I don't know. I have a hard time with those people. Is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Eric brought up the point of, the big houses will commission their own hardware. So it's, we talked about custom snaps a little bit earlier. It's a pretty decent financial hurdle to start talking about commissioning your own hardware.
Oh yeah.
I can do a limited amount of it with just forming metal and that kind of stuff, but it's pretty basic stuff. Like I can make my own jump rings, I can make, that kind of junk. But in terms of like commissioning my own trigger snap that doesn't look like a trigger snap from anybody else, like that, I mean, that's when an MOQ is like 1,000 pieces or whatever. Like you got to have $5,000 to be able to do that stuff. And it's just not. I mean, probably even more than that. So when you can copyright and or patent your own hardware, then somebody can make something similar to you, but they can't use your proprietary hardware. There's that piece. It's at one point my brother-in-law owned an interest in the company Quee Sunglasses. They're like an Australian sunglass company, right?
Okay.
We were kind of talking through this, and I was like, dude, how do you make sunglasses that have never been made before? And he was explaining that at least, and I don't know if this applies to everything else, but there was like a 25% rule. So he's like, we stay on the right side of lawsuits because whatever design it is, we change it by 25%, and that keeps us from getting sued because that's apparently the threshold in IP law is when something is 25% different.
That's pretty common across multiple different industries, yeah.
But I mean, that's something that big industries look at. But when it's people like us that are small businesses that are coming up with shit and making it, to me, it's a little bit different standard where it's, I'll use the phrase, although it doesn't quite apply, it's honor among thieves, right? So if we're all independent, small craftspeople making our own things, there's a certain amount of honor in the community of like, you know what, I'm not going to rip you off. But I've seen it. My buddy here in town, a guy named Steve West that makes jewelry. There for a period of time, there was a guy in North Carolina that when Steve put something out, the guy would rip it off within hours. Like if Steve put it out at 10 in the morning, this guy was selling it at 5 in the afternoon. Was like, and obviously the dude was talented, but he was just straight up copy ripping Steve's shit off. Which is just like, at some point as a human, as a whatever, like my own personal morals and ethics, like, holy shit, I couldn't even imagine doing that. Like I get up and wonder if this other guy has made something so I can rip it off and, sell a couple dozen of whatever it is at $10, $10 less or whatever. Just horrible. Like, how do you even sleep at night? But some people just don't give a shit. Which is awful. So there you go. What are you smiling at, Tyler?
Me?
No, I just think again it goes back to it's a dog eat dog world, and I don't know. I see what you're 100% hear you and see what you're saying when it comes to that exact example. But there's also like a point of I don't know, like a point of no return when it comes to that. I would never be able to think that way because I just don't gravitate towards seeing something and trying to
replicate
it, I guess, to like make money off of it, I guess, because again, in the world that I live when it comes to what we're talking about right now, I don't see HFA as that kind of product, but or that kind of business. But it's also like one of those things where make your shit and make it good and sell it to the people that you want to sell it to, and your customers are gonna stay there, and you live in your lane and you stay in your lane. But I do see where you're coming from. Like that's that is a complete ripoff of what we're exactly talking about right now. But again, I'll go back to what I just said. There's a lot of people that are very worried about other people kind of coming into their lane and stealing their business or whatever. And it's like, well, if your business is as strong as you think it is, or as strong as you make it out to be on Instagram, the platform that we live on, then people are going to keep buying your stuff. And maybe you shouldn't worry about that, or give someone shit for making a design that has similar corner radiuses to the design that you make, or has the same 3-card card holder that has the same radius to it.
Right.
That's where I'm just make your shit and be good with it, and people are going to continue buying your stuff. But also like a lot of that comes down to like being a salesman and being like a people person. And if you have the relationship with these people, like those people aren't going to go anywhere. So why worry about it and lose sleep about it? And I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, Dad Hands makes awesome tooled wallets. And there's other, and I don't know a ton of other people who do tooling out there, but like, Dad Hands is now coming into my, lane, and like maybe my people are thinking about, but like, just stop, like, just do your thing and live and make the stuff that you want to make and carry on. So like, I don't have much of a pulse to that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I think it's also the point of, at some point a little bit of competition makes you cannot stay still. You cannot make the
right,
same thing for 20 years
Right.
unless you are so innovative that you've developed both the design, the method, all of it,
100%,
and have locked it all down,
100.
and
That's
nobody
exactly
else
it.
can figure it out.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
It's
Like you like the people that were making wallets on Instagram 6 years ago, who are becoming upset that people are doing similar designs or blah 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 blah. Like what do you do? Like the platform hasn't gotten smaller, right?
Yeah.
Like
Tell me.
where your marketplace for where you're trying to sell your stuff or where you're trying to communicate with human beings to buy your product, is only getting bigger, and there's only more people in this space.
Mhm.
So rather than get upset about it and whine and complain about this, that, and the other thing, just continue doing what you're doing, and maybe it challenges you to become better at what you were making, and
Mhm.
maybe that's just like the athletic, competitor in me or whatever. But again, like I'm not one of those people, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
not like there's no one stealing my business, right? Like who's stealing HFA's business? No one,
Mhm.
because the business is already what it is. But like some of the people that like I think have kind of maybe turned me off a little bit from when I originally started with this whole thing was like those people that thought that they had this lane that was just like theirs. And now you have a lot of people in this space. And now that they see a lot of people in this space, they're like, I don't really know how to handle all this, right? Like I just
Mhm.
know that like I used to be very good at what I did. I sold this blah blah blah. But now there's a lot of people selling this blah blah blah. So I'm gonna get upset about it and I'm going to, make a fuss about it. And that's I just can't get behind that mindset or whatever. So
well,
Mhm.
that I mean, it would be interesting to get Eric to come on with us at some point to talk about. So Eric's origin story was, hey, there was all this really cool shit being done in Japan, and Eric, feel free to correct me if I'm getting any of this wrong, but there's all this super cool shit in Japan that was honestly, the Japanese artists are what got me to do this.
Mhm.
Uh, but they're making all that shit, and it was just you had to know somebody in Japan that could hook you up with that stuff, and there was nobody making it in the U.S. So Eric jumped up and went, "Oh well, fuck it, I can make shit in the U.S." And
yeah,
it's history from there. But it was the super cool part about somebody was doing something. Um, I'll join if you want, just no face.
Yeah, dude.
Um, it can it can be, yeah. Eric will be our honorary OnlyHands.
There you go.
Eric may have been the original OnlyHands.
Eric is the only hands, 100%.
That's right. For a long time, there was just his hands and not even any words either. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, it's the competition, and it forces you to evolve. It forces you to do something new. Um, good, bad, or indifferent. And I've said it before. Is the handmade leather stuff is really, really saturated at this point.
Oh yeah.
Um, there's a low barrier to entry. Anybody who is creative and can work with their hands a little bit can find success in this pretty quickly in terms of like, and not to mention like all the stuff that's out there. Even
Yeah.
when I started doing this, it was pretty much Eric and Han were the two main sources for watching people do leatherwork on YouTube.
Right.
The Weaver
Yep.
stuff was good, but there wasn't just like this huge, like dozens and dozens and dozens of people doing this, on YouTube and Instagram. And I don't use TikTok, but I'm assuming there's, all the crap on TikTok too that's
Yeah.
just as much. So there's a whole lot more people doing it now than there were, and it's a whole lot harder to get into now than it was. But it also puts a whole lot more pressure on you as a maker to have something that's unique and or something that you put your fingerprint on that someone else might want to buy.
Sure.
If you want to convert it from selling to your friends and family to selling to strangers.
Outside people. Yep. 100%. 100%. No, I think you hit the nail straight on the head there, Chuck.
Yeah.
TikTok, there's a lot of slamming and scotch tape. It's stressful.
Hate it. Yep.
Oh yeah. So of the cuts where it's like slamming leather on a table,
You're just like
smack.
throwing all your tools and shit. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I love that they're billing it as like ASMR, and it's like, do you not realize ASMR is supposed to fucking calm you down? Like,
this is the opposite of that. I don't have TikTok, so I can only imagine what that looks like.
Yeah.
It sucks. I have it. I'm not a fan. I never post anything anymore. It's not great.
Sure.
Yeah, it's slapping, slamming, aggressively spinning tops off glue jars. And, Mrs. Freak of Nature brings up another excellent point and I think that's where I get with, how I use stories and whatever else. Like when you start to share more of your personality and who you are as a person, it helps people connect with you as an artist. Where I've even had the experience, and it's totally surreal because, at some point, when it's 11:30 at night or whenever you're crafting, it's a solo activity, right? It's rarely with anybody else. And people have said, "Oh no, I want this thing, and I'm not really worried about what it looks like or what materials. I want you to make it."
Yeah.
And at some point, it freaks me out a little bit. You're like, "Wait a second. Why do you want me to make it? Is this some creepy sex thing?"
Some OnlyHands
like,
shit.
Right? Is this OnlyHands shit? And at some point, you're like, okay. I mean, fuck it. I mean, weird money spends like any other money. I don't give a shit. Like, if you want to like enjoy that my hands have been all over this piece of leather, then I guess that's okay. Whatever. But it's.
I'm gonna put chapstick on.
No.
Can you
Where are
turn
you
your
putting chapstick?
camera off again? Jesus, dude. We're gonna get taken down.
All I see is Tyler say, "I'm going to put chapstick on," and he leans back like this. Like, where the fuck is that chapstick going?
Right
Have
on my
to
lips,
ask?
buddy. Right on my lips. No, no,
Jesus Christ, you guys.
But
Go on.
I mean, so it's establishing that connection with your audience and connection with your customers and all that other good stuff, right? I mean, that's the difference of when all three of us make a 3-pocket card holder. It's the difference of 3-pocket card holder from each one of us as individuals brings something different in terms of the individual that's making it, right?
Yeah.
Wow, Eric really just kicked down the door.
What did he say? Oh, wait, what? And it always ends in a simple card wallet.
No, it's after that. It might take a second to get across.
I don't know why mine's not loading.
Yeah, tell us, Chuck.
I can't imagine it was just me, but Eric says, when I ask you to make me things I'm thinking with my genitals 99% of the time, Chuck.
Yeah.
That's what the lighters that I made for Eric were all about.
Yeah, did you teabag him?
Mm-hmm.
The little stamp of approval? Huh?
That's the glass trick that
mark.
nobody wants to tell you. That's how the glassy edge crowd gets those glassy edges.
Just dragging their balls across them?
Yeah, you got a burnish with the stretchy skin is what you got.
Yeah, not a cloth. Different kind of cloth.
Go that way.
Human hair is what you burnish that with.
Oh,
that's
man.
Butt cheeks, right? So like, whoop.
Swear to God, we have a solid business plan for OnlyHands.
It's a shame that it's already been taken from us. It was ripped from us.
Right. Exactly. Right. It's a shame that it's already been taken us. and it will be promptly returned if anybody tries to burnish a card holder with their scrotum. That's like, we will have gotten to the point of the internet where it is entirely too weird for almost everybody. But the good news is the one person that really enjoys it is going to be filthy rich and we're ready to pay for it.
Yep.
Sure.
Actually, there is.
Then we can make Quarteroo happen.
Yeah. Well, there is. Okay, so there is one person I know of that does. She does leather aprons, and then she also does an OnlyFans. So you can have your apron made, and then have photos in your. Which I think's pretty sick. I mean,
there's weirder
it's a whole
shit.
other side of the business. I like sex work is real work, so if that's what you're able to pay bills on, fucking why not?
I mean, that's the whole. I'm not going to knock out anybody who wants to make money.
That's called that's called a twofer.
Yeah.
That's called a twofer.
Depending on how many are showing, it's a threefer, including the apron. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think that's an interesting. Not that I'm going to do it, but it's an interesting idea for those who may want to do that. Like, if you're somebody who's making things and not even limited to leather, like whatever it is, and there's a secondary market for somebody who wants to see that thing with you naked. I mean, if
why the
you
fuck
charge
not?
a premium for it and you're cool with it otherwise, then knock yourself out. Like, if you can sell a $50 wallet for $200 because you want to, show it next to your ass,
Pose with it. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
asking.
we know that Ryan at Carmine Jack is willing to full on lay on a piece of leather to sell it. So
Oh yeah.
he's one of the thirst trap baker's bridal. So there's no reason why anybody can't do that either. So I don't know. I mean, knock it out. I mean, I'm just waiting for somebody to do it. Shane, can I just take a moment and say this is an amazing fucking Thursday?
Pretty good one.
This
it just went a little sideways. I mean,
if,
you can keep going sideways.
If it remains on YouTube, I will be amazed. Like, I'll put it up there. Who knows if it'll stick? Who knows if it'll stay on Instagram? Somebody reported it. I don't know.
I think okay.
I'm really offended. Somebody was talking about burnishing leather with their scrotum. Dark Heart Leather Co. mentions as long as he lays on it Burt Reynolds style. He did.
He did.
Look at his feed.
It was.
He did.
That's how that. Well, that's what it takes to get on these Thursday night episodes these days.
Yes. He was putting the I in daddy.
Spelled it wrong. Baddie.
What? Oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, Devin's offering to pose foot pictures of his wallet for $500.
God, I hate feet. They just, I don't know, they creep me out. I can't watch those Hobbit movies. Not for me.
I'd be interested if that's the application process. I'd be interested in going through them.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to see a wallet with my feet, fucking okay, cool.
Yeah, fair.
Whatever, I'll put it out here publicly. If you want me to make you a wallet and put it with my feet, great.
I'm with Eric. I'd definitely pay more to not see feet.
I mean, usually I don't have a problem because they're hooves, but nobody. I'll show up in farrier videos before I will actually foot fetish videos.
I always get really creeped out when people post like videos of them like barefoot on a hide cutting pieces on the floor.
Who the fuck was that guy?
Oh,
so it was,
I have no idea. I've seen a lot of people do it, and I'm always like, man, I don't want your feet all over my shit. Sorry.
No, I mean, that was because I can't remember who it was that somebody, some man was like standing on a hide cutting belts barefoot. And I'm like, nobody wants your feet on their leather. Like, come on, man. I mean, maybe somebody, shit, I don't know. Bare feet with surgical gloves. So would they actually be like Vibram 5 fingers, or would it be like
No, they're not
neoprene.
toe shoes. Those are not toe shoes. Those are actual surgical gloves on your toes, which might be
What
kind of cool to see. Kind
what
of into
about
that.
what about some of these guys?
What are those? Carrot
What
sticks?
else? What else? Toe
No,
socks?
these are these finger caught things.
No. Put them on your toes, all 5
All
toes.
5 toes on a wallet.
Ew.
I'm into that.
Ugh. Remember when toe
Well,
socks were like a hit in the late 90s?
people, you'd be surprised. I mean,
Yeah,
there's still
Tyler lives in
good,
Denver. Those fuckers are still wearing them,
there's
aren't they?
still,
Do you
there's
have
still
toe
like
socks, Tyler?
I certainly do not, but
Okay.
there's still a group of people that,
You get
you
your
know,
ass kicked in upstate New York for wearing toe socks.
oh my God, you get kicked out of school. There's still like, like a group of people that when it comes to like running and all that kind of stuff that,
Okay.
there's like a, like a thought that having, whatever it is, like your no shoe, natural foot on the ground kind of thing is still kind of popular.
Oh,
You know,
the people that are
Have either one of you
grounding, and I
tried?
believe that wearing no shoes grounds me to the earth.
yeah, 100%.
Have you worn those
So Eric, I'm
shoes
not.
though? The toe shoes? Have you
Yeah,
tried
yeah.
them?
No.
I have not.
Okay.
I have personally not, but I know that it's not uncommon to be walking around this city and have someone just casually walking around in toe shoes or whatever. You know.
It just
Oh,
freaks
so
me out.
Oh
Darkheart's
yeah.
trying to bring us back out of the gutter. Touch on the marathon and the fundraising. So how many days are we out from the marathon? I say we like I'm running it too.
We're cheerleaders,
Um,
Chuck. We're the
yeah,
cheerleaders.
you guys have been like right at the top of the support list. So the marathon's April 17th. So I don't even know what today's date. I think it's day the 30th, I want to say.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, 18 days away from running. Yeah. So 18 days away from running. The fundraising closes, I want to say the Friday beforehand. So it's whatever that is. I think it actually might be like Friday the 13th or the 14th or whatever it is.
Okay.
So yeah, we're like 2 weeks away. I'm about I want to say like $1,300 away from the goal, which is $8,500 for the Boston Public Library Foundation. Which if you popped on last week, I gave like a little bit of a spiel, but basically a foundation that works directly with the Boston Public Library, which again, for people who might not be familiar with this, like Boston Public Library is right where the marathon finishes in Boston. It's like right on Boylston Street. Regarded as like one of the cooler, libraries, I guess, in the country. They do a lot of great things. But the marathon ends right in front of their building. And the foundation works directly with them to provide programming, after school assistance, helps people find jobs, helps a little bit with the homeless population there, or people that are experiencing homelessness to get back on their feet, so on and so forth. So they do a lot of great things. And I'm super excited to kind of be teaming up with them to, run. I think it's a team of, there's about 16 of us. I think I'm the only person that's not in Massachusetts. So I haven't met any of the teammates. I haven't met any of the people that I'm essentially going to be running with. And I'll use that in quotations because obviously when you're running, like there's only, you're going to you're going to do your own thing. And, if someone's next to you, then great. If not, then you're going to just kind of, run on your own. So, I'm super excited about it, but I guess that's like the update on that. We're about 14 days away from the close of any sort of donations being accepted.
Sick.
Cool. So we've got a couple things that are going to be up for auction. We're going to start the auction tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
For a couple different things.
Yep.
So Melissa's got a trucker wallet. Tyler, you've got a wallet And
I do. Yeah. I'll show it right now just because I have it next to me. I have a bifold I made in it's marbled black Ricado shell cordovan on the outside, which is honestly really cool. Like I haven't looked at this stuff in a while, and I just found it yesterday because I've been sitting on it. And then it's later Agawa uh, violet, I guess, on the inside for the interior pockets. And then obviously some more of the black marble, I guess, on the inside, white thread. I'm going to have this up. And then I'm also tomorrow going to start a clutch design, which I've been wanting to do for a while. I just haven't gotten around to do it. I was hoping to have something to show you guys tonight, but I actually just scribbled out some drawings and measurements before we hopped on this call. But yeah, I'm going to have that as well. So I'm going to have a clutch, I'm going to have the wallet, and then I don't know, maybe I'll mix something else in there or whatever. But I'll probably auction it up. I'll have the wallet up tomorrow with chucks and turbos, and maybe we do like a collaborative kind of thing. I have no idea what that's going to look like. Maybe we just do it ourselves. We haven't really thought about it that much, but yeah, I mean, all the money is going to go directly to the BBL Foundation. So any sort of help, any sort of you know bids, I guess, if you will, that goes into it is obviously going to be awesome.
so, yeah, I've got, this, we'll call it a trucker wristlet that is based off Melissa's pattern that I did up with this custom, HFA bag charm that's joined on, like, it doesn't come off. It's not coming off. It's soldered on there. Like, it's on there forever unless you're an asshole and cut it off. I've got that, and I've got these two turquoise and silver pieces that I put in my stories earlier today. So those will go up tomorrow.
Did you see what Eric just said?
I know. I saw that. So we've got Melissa's trucker wallet, and so Eric's got a half shell of the 15-year tie-dye shell. So yes, absolutely, we will put that up in our auction. We'll figure out between the three of us. We'll just start a group chat with the four of us and figure out how we want to do that.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing the auction for Melissa's stuff because she's going to be out for a bit. So it's better that I handle that. So we'll figure out, but we could do collabs. We'll figure out how to get the most attention to it.
Yeah.
So Tyler, how much money are we trying to make up in 14 days? Like
So
$1,400, something like that?
yeah, it's like $1,300. I actually just got like a real nice alarming message, if you will, from the woman who's like in charge of the fundraising efforts, who was like, hey, thank you for raising all this money, $7,000. And I was like, yeah, that's a lot of money. I appreciate it. Followed by like a paragraph of like, hey, when you don't, raise the full thing, like we're just going to charge your credit card. And I was like, well, that's also cool. Thanks for giving me the heads up on that. So like I've kind of committed to obviously doing this. Like I'm running the race no matter what.
Right.
The less amount of money that I have to pay out of my own pocket is great. But I also am super passionate about, what I'm trying to raise money for myself anyways. So whatever we get to, great. And then, I'll obviously cover whatever's not left, or whatever is left, I should say. But the goal is $1,300 in the next 15 days. So about $100 a day. For whatever that is, so, and that's obviously not just the people that are here listening to this and the people that are donating and so on and so forth. There's many other people out there that, I'm hoping will eventually donate at some point. But as you guys know, like fundraising is a bitch. And, I'm super excited that I've gotten to this point. Now it's just a matter of getting across the finish line. So, anything helps. Whatever people can do to, bump up something by $5. I'll probably just post my thing. So, Chuck, I'll probably post my wallet tomorrow just because it's done, grab some photos of it, and go from there. And if you want to do, yours and turbos, great. And then throwing Eric's great. Then I'm going to have a clutch probably by, yeah.
Sean in the comment has asked what he can do to help. So
Sure.
As I've just been kind of thinking here, so Eric wants to contribute half a shell. And again, I'll start a chat group with all of us, but what I'm thinking could be a really interesting and unique thing to do is, Sean, if you are willing to work with Eric's shell, maybe we do a worldwide deal where we take quarter shell and get it to Sean, and Sean makes something with it as maybe a commission. I mean, we'll get together and we'll chat about it and see if that could be something that we think would work, but that could be a super cool thing that could blend Sean's audience and Eric's audience together to take this really unique piece of shell that is not going to exist anymore, and have Sean make something out of it.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if I'm just being completely candid here, like anything is truly appreciated on my end. So I'm just completely humbled, and I'm not. I've kept, I guess, this personal thing off of my work account, if you will, for the last 4 months, and the fact that we're even having this conversation is mind blowing to me, honestly. So I'll follow whoever's lead and direct them to where they need to go, I guess, when it comes to like donating. But I'm totally on board with whatever it is, and truly I'm just humbled to know that there's a couple other people out there that would want to support this, and then honestly on the flip side watch me struggle through running 26 miles in Boston, and I'll make sure that there's some sort of video proof or photo proof of me finishing this thing, so you guys can get like a small chuckle to yourself. But I mean, the fact that the you guys, Chuck and Turbo, are even considering this is like it literally blows my mind. I had this conversation.
So determined. We're gonna get you like $2,000.
I had this conversation with my wife like yesterday, honestly. That was like, hey, there's people that are across the country, and not even in this country, that are in Canada, that want to see me do this, which part of me might be because it's like they just want to see me run a marathon, and that's cool, that are like trying to support this thing. And she's like, I don't understand what you're saying. And I was like, yeah, the leather world that I've been a part of for the last 6 years is pretty incredible. So
well, on top of that, did you just see, so Eric's saying give him a mile marker and he'll show up and film you.
Sure.
And you will get to see his face in the process.
Yeah. Let's go mile 9. Like there's like weird ways to like that I've talked to people that are about like, oh yeah, like people will pay whatever it is, $50 if you do this time or that time or blah blah blah.
Okay.
Let's call it mile 9. I think I'll be feeling pretty good at that point, and getting ready to head into the city. So let's call it mile 9, and I'll be in a bright yellow shirt, and let's go from there.
Yeah, that right. And I don't know, I can't even joke about wearing a ski mask. So I don't know how long you're going to be in Boston, but I would strongly encourage you, if you're able to go spend time with Eric. When I went last summer, it was awesome.
Yeah. I've thought about this, and I know because there's a couple people that live in our space that are Boston, somewhere in the surrounding areas, and I get in late Friday night. I want to say like midnight, just because I'm heading back east, so we lose time. So like I'm really only there Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday's a race, and then I'm out of there on Tuesday. So it's like a very quick, and as you can imagine, I'm not really enjoying myself for those couple days, if that makes sense. Like I'm, Saturday's maybe like a beer, and Sunday is a, pick up your stuff and pick up your package, and, and then Monday is, figure out a way to get to the, starting line and run the whole thing. And then, Tuesday I'm out of there. So I would love to do that. I also understand my capabilities, I guess, if that makes sense.
I will say that if you do go to visit Eric, you just need to plan some time. So Being in Colorado, you can kind of understand the situation. So it's not necessarily somewhere you want to go and try and leave 30 minutes later. Um, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
um,
I get it. I get it.
there's that.
So it's also like, I mean, I look at these, because I've done, this is now my fourth marathon. Like I kind of go like robotic, if that makes sense. Because I have to travel to pretty much
Fourth
all. I mean,
marathon?
yeah, this is my fourth. I did one in Denver last May, so like I was able to obviously, basically, get dropped off at the starting line like a half mile from where we live, which was nice. See a lot of the roads that I currently train on and so on and so forth. But outside of that, the other two have been like, get dropped off, turn into a robot, focus on just finishing the thing, and then get the freak out of there when you're done. So I don't know, it's one of those things where I would love to use it as like a vacation, if you will, but it's just not one of those things that you can really use as a vacation, which is kind of a bummer, because I would love to stick around for the entire week and see people and do stuff and kind of hang out or whatever afterwards. But unfortunately, it's like back to life on Wednesday. And
Oh yeah, so Eric's giving you advice for the carb, as is my wife that's in the chat. Um,
I
but
wish I could see these.
is
Oh, you can't
giving
see.
you
No,
telling you to go to the north end for cannoli.
Yep.
There's plenty of pizza and cannoli that you can have the carb load prior to the race.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bova's is the shit. That's where my kids understood that being polite and from the South gets you dick all in a Boston bakery.
Yeah. Totally.
You,
Totally.
you got to step up and use your voice from your chest
your
if you want
words.
to order
Yep.
anything from the bakery, because people will
Amazing.
walk right past you if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny. So my brother-in-law and sister-in-law live out that way, and I was just out there 2 weeks ago. I did like a training run on the Charles River. But I basically tasked him with just being like, hey, on Sunday night, like I just need you to find a spot that we can have dinner at that's going to be like a carbo loading spot. And he actually just sent us like a screenshot today of the reservation. I don't know exactly where it is, but they live in Boston, so I'll have to report back as far as like where we go and what that looks like. But when I was there, because I haven't been there in probably like 6 or 7 years, I mean, you are spot on with that. Like
Yeah.
going into like, we got cannolis at a place actually in Malden, at this place that I think is kind of famous. They have a spot in the north end as well. I forget the name of it. Maybe Eric's going to chime in right now. I just can't see his response, but that was exactly how it felt. I was like, hey, can I get like a chocolate dip cannoli or whatever? And the woman was like, what do you want? And I was like, well, can I just get a chocolate dip cannoli? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, okay, just take my money. Just
You're like,
have
don't get
my
me.
money. Yeah. I was just like, listen, like I haven't been on the East Coast in like 2 years. Like I'm not trying to argue with anyone. Like I just want to give you my money, and I just want to, transaction for this cannoli. And it was a whole thing. So
Dude, what happened to the Jersey City in you?
I was never a Jersey City guy. Like that's the problem. Like I made it work there. But I was never like, I never turned into one of those people, right? So like I never turned into like the aggressive, hey, why is my coffee taking 1 minute to make, or, whatever it was. Like I could never, the upstate New York in me could never like get to that point.
Right.
And that's why I was like, well, I guess we got to get out of here. And then went to Denver. It was like where people take, 45 minutes to make you a black cup of coffee. And you're just like, hey, well, it's cool. The person was nice. They, they're probably high. They probably smoked a bowl like 5 minutes ago. Cool. Like they love their job. I guess I'll just wait. And so to your point, like I just never, I was just never cut out for that lifestyle. And, that's probably the reason why we're not living there anymore.
Nah, it's all a good time. Like you gotta, again, it's the adapt, right? So you go to Boston, you gotta step up and
Oh yeah.
got to step up and get it.
Yeah. No, but no, I mean it's awesome to even have this platform to talk to people about something like this and potentially have people raise money for something like this. So I know I said it last week and I'll say it again. Like I'm just super grateful. Whatever people are willing to do, we'll obviously make stuff and hopefully sell it, and people will ultimately get something in their hands that they truly enjoy. But the money from myself, Turbo, and you, Chuck, or and Eric, if you're going to do something, and Shane, if you're going to potentially throw your name in the ring, it's all going to go to a good cause, and something that's going to directly impact the citizens around Boston and the people that are living there. So I feel really good about pushing that on people, I guess, knowing that it's going to be a good cause.
And so do you have like a link to direct, just in case people like aren't into doing a thing or whatever, we could post to get you more?
Yeah. So I knew this was going to be a thought, and I haven't, again, like I don't know, the one part of me hasn't pushed this out on HFA versus my personal whatever account that we probably all have. But what I will say is that, I know Chuck always posts, kind of like the video or whatever afterwards. So my thought was I'll grab my donation page link from that, and I'll throw it in my story afterwards, so that if anyone comes across my story or whatever, if you guys want to share it, it'll be right there. It'll be linked there. It'll take you directly to the page. If you don't want to bid on any of our items, or if you don't want to you don't need a new trucker wallet or whatever it is, that's fine. But the link there will be available for everyone. So if you want to throw $5-10, whatever it is, you can directly go to that page, and it's super easy. I will say they've done a good job of making like the link itself as hassle-free as possible, for people that want to donate money, which is great, because there's nothing worse than like trying to help a good cause and having to jump through 3,000 hula hoops to get there. So I'll put that in the whatever story once Chuck shares his thing.
Oh, perfect.
And I'll just copy it there. So great call out there too.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll get that too. So if anybody is not interested in any of the stuff we're going to have up for auction, you can still put some cash in the pot. That'll be, so we'll get that out there tomorrow as well, and we'll keep pushing that for the remaining days until the fundraising cutoff is there. Hopefully we can get there. So we've got some good stuff in motion. Eric's also saying the Viette lemongrass chicken is a good choice for carb loading. Spot on ComAv. So lots of options.
I might have to reach out to you, Eric, about I gotta find, I don't even know, like I totally put this on my brother-in-law to be like, hey, where, like, you just find like an Italian spot. They have like a young kid. So I think we're doing like a 5 o'clock dinner on Sunday night, which I'm totally cool with. And I'll have to give you the name of the spot that he already picked out, but hopefully it's good. I mean, I'm typically like a chicken parm, kind of person, I guess, before something like this. But I'm also like, again, like when it comes back to being like a robot, like I don't like to change up too many things. I kind of know what works. But lemongrass chicken does sound good, and any sort of chicken beforehand works for me. So I'll see what they have on the menu.
Eric's also offering that he can, since you can't see the comments, that he can do a quick video with a pattern where all the sales will go to your fundraising effort.
Again, like my head's exploding. Like you guys, it's wild. Like, yeah, if you guys want to do that, great, go for it. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. Yeah, that's where I'll leave it. I mean, it's incredible that you'd want to do something like that. So yeah, appreciate it.
Awesome.
And I can pass along like the direct link to you, Eric, so that if you want to, throw that in somewhere, people have the ability, whether you want them to, show proof or something like that, or people buy it and then you just send the donation.
Yeah, I think
great.
think that'll be my plan for my stuff is you know, auction it on Instagram, and I'll do like a post per item, and then that's where we'll harvest the bids, and then it'll be go make the direct contribution, send me a screenshot. Yeah, and I'll start a deal with all of it after this. And
yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to do it. Like I know Brian, you know, who obviously was on the call last week. You know, he did his thing earlier this week, and
as per the usual, he beat everybody to the shit.
yeah, he Venmo'd me. He Venmo'd me whatever it was, like I think yesterday or the day before, and I just went in and took all the money that, you know, he Venmo'd me, and I just, you know, obviously donated on his behalf. And that's totally fine as well. You know, I have no problem taking, you know, the extra 5 minutes to do that. So whatever works. I mean, everyone will have the link. If you want to do yourself, great. If you don't want to do yourself and you want to, you know, Venmo to me, or you want to whatever, that's totally cool. I have no problem with any of that stuff. Again, like it's just, for me, like the fact that there's people that want to do this is it's kind of otherworldly. So whatever works, I'm accommodating.
Awesome. This has definitely been community over competition. But the interesting part of, you don't see anybody else stealing a fucking marathon, do you? Nobody after this is gonna go, I'm gonna run a marathon. You said marathon, I'm gonna go run a marathon before you.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna donate to charity.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why, like I've kind of, I don't want to say I kept this one like kind of close to the chest, but you know, I think there's, you know, all of us at the end of the day are human beings, right? Like Chuck has a family, you know, Chuck's going to sit on a sideline this weekend and, you know, take score for a lacrosse game for his, you know, for his child.
Yeah.
Like we all have like lives. And I think a lot of times I feel like in this Instagram world that we live in, from like a small business standpoint, that sometimes gets lost. And I've always made a point when, you know, someone has brought kind of their personal life into their small business to support them. And I think that's like it's a very hard thing for someone to do. In Turbo, I think, and I don't want to call you out on this, I think you're a great example. And like you've needed things and people have come and supported you, and you've mentioned that, right? Your own self.
My teeth.
You know, exactly.
That's how
So
I got
like,
my teeth fixed.
I think that like takes like a certain sense of vulnerability, I guess. And I'm not coming and saying like, hey, you know, running a marathon is, you know, something that's like make or break for me, but there is like a little bit of urgency when it comes to like actually raising money to do something like this, right? So
for sure,
you know, if I don't raise the money, then I pay for it, and that's fine. Like I'm totally cool with that because it's an important cause to me as well. But at the end of the day, like if I don't have to pay the entire thing and can, you know, lean on other people to do so, you know, I'll open up my doors and gladly accept that. But it's not easy to do, and I think that
fair enough.
Again, back to the competition aspect that we talked about earlier, you know, and you know, people, you know, shading their ideas and you know, maybe not being open or, you know, whining about this person stealing that from or whatever. Like at the end of the day, there's only a handful of people who are doing this full time, and I think we have to understand that. You know, so the majority of us, the 95% of us who are doing this for fun to make stuff and, you know, keep yourself busy, but also, you know, service a handful of customers or whatever. It takes a lot to kind of open up and, you know, showcase the other stuff that you're actually working on, right? Like, because at the end of the day, like none of us are sitting down at a workbench and doing this for 9, 8, 9, 10 hours a day. You know, we all got other stuff going on. And I think that is the number one thing that you can communicate to your customers and your marketplace, that's going to make them want to support you, I guess. So
very true. I would agree.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, we have been on for almost 2.5 hours now. So
This is the longest one by far.
Oh,
This
holy
is
shit.
yeah.
I'm
This
not
this is our
very
longest
good at
one.
time right now. For some reason, I was like, oh, it's like an hour and a half. We're fine. Whatever. I like smoked a little weed.
That's
Maybe.
because
Sorry.
you're on the West Coast. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to turn into a pumpkin right before your eyes. So, but this has been fantastic. It's been awesome, as always. A great pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thanks to everybody that's been in the comments. It's been awesome to have you guys with us. Because part of this is, we can sit here and jackjaw about stuff forever, but you guys interacting with us in the comments is awesome, and it helps kind of keep the conversation going and turn it into weird places that nobody thought it was going to go. So
I think we reached a new height today.
yeah,
I think we definitely went from like a good casual PG-13 Thursday night. I think we might have touched like an R-rated thing at a couple different.
We went right past R.
Just the tip.
Right.
X. You touched X.
Just the toenails. But yeah, so if anybody does end up creating an OnlyFans account where you're posting nude pictures of yourself and your leather stuff, we all expect to get free subscriptions to that. Not that we're going to pay attention, but just kind of a thing. But anyway, I think that's about it for tonight, unless y'all got anything else. Says the man who sells fuck pendants. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, called out.
That is correct. So unless y'all got anything else, we can probably call it for tonight, and we'll get busy on raising money tomorrow, and we'll catch back up next week.
Yeah, we'll get into that group chat right now and get some organizing done.
Yeah, exactly. We'll start to
Tyler, I want to see you get $2 more thousand. Fuck this 1,300. I want to see $2,000.
Yeah, we're no quitters here. We're exceeders. We're polishing edges with scrotums, and those of us who don't have scrotums will borrow a scrotum from somebody else.
We'll use it. We'll borrow it. On that note, let's just hope that YouTube keeps this one up.
All right. Cool.
You guys.
Bye, guys.
Yep. You guys are the best.
Yep.
You are.
See ya.